I'm gonna tell you something I've never told anyone. 30 years ago, my friends and I spent the night at a cabin. We found the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead. Certain passages were recited. It awoke something in the woods. Something evil. I was the only one to escape. But now, the evil has found me.
Hello and welcome to the Ash vs. Evil Dead podcast. This is a podcast in which we tackle the brand new TV series based on the Evil Dead universe. Of course, that is Ash vs. Evil Dead. It airs on the Starz Network. A few things about our show. There will be spoilers throughout because these episodes are only 25, 27-ish minutes, and you can't really talk about them without spoiling them, or else it'd be like a 3-minute podcast, and that would be it. So there will be spoilers. We encourage you guys to follow along, watch an episode, listen to the podcast, watch an episode, listen to the podcast. I think that's the fun way to do it. There's a few ways you can support and view our content, one of which is on our YouTube channels, which mine is Double Shot J, and my co-host is The Horror File. You can also find the podcast on the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror.com website. You can find that in the links of the videos and pretty much anywhere. You can check out our other podcast, the X-Files podcast, and you can find us on Horrorphilia.com. And with all that out of the way, I'm going to introduce my co-host who is podcasting out of South Carolina. But first, before that, because he's unimportant, I'm going to introduce myself. My name's JP. You can call me JP or JP.
Or JP.
Okay, so Kyle likes to speak out of turn. That is Kyle, everybody. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Yeah, what's up, JP? I am Kyle, podcasting out of Anderson, South Carolina, upstate South Carolina. You can find me over on YouTube at The Horror File, like JP just said. Or you can check us out on iTunes. We do this, like you said, this podcast, and we also do an X-Files podcast every week, covering all the seasons of the X-Files, or all the episodes of the X-Files. So, check those out, and, subscribe to us if you're not, and, check out our reviews and all the stuff, the good goodies we have on our channel. So, yeah.
Awesome. So, with that said, why don't we get into this week's episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead. You care to give us an episode title, when it was released, who directed, wrote it, all that good stuff?
Yeah. Let's do it. So we're doing Ash vs. Evil Dead, obviously. This is going to be Season 1, Episode 7. Already on the 7th episode. This episode's called Fire in the Hole. It was directed by the previous director from the last episode, Michael Hurst. And it was actually written by 3 writers, which is, me and JP were talking before the show. It's kind of crazy that there's 3 writers on this episode for a 20-minute episode. But the writers are Sean Clements, Dominic Dierkes, and Ivan Ramey. So they all 3 collaborated. I'm assuming they probably all 3 didn't write everything. They probably collaborated, just came up with ideas. But, yeah, 3 writers on one episode, 20-minute episode. It's kind of nuts. This episode aired on December 12th, 2015, so about 2 weeks from when we're recording this right now, so has not been up for very long whatsoever. So do you want to get into some viewership, JP?
Yeah, but before that, let me just kind of touch on the directors. So, last week, we did mention Michael Hurst. He was the one that did a lot of TV and stuff. He mostly was an actor. He only directed 18. He has 18 credits to his name. He has 65 acting credits. So it seems like he's really been more of an actor throughout his filmography. And then Sean Clements, he looks to be a bit young and mostly TV work as well. He did I think we've seen his name before. Yeah, we've seen his name a few episodes ago because he's the one that did that Justin Bieber and Usher video short, as well as some Workaholics. So he has done pretty much nothing besides Workaholics. And then Dominic Dierkes, he has done some Workaholics as well. Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory, a bunch of other Nick Cannon Presents, some other TV and stuff. But most of these guys are doing, it seems to be like Workaholics. It seems like we've mentioned Workaholics a few times on this show. So maybe they were trying to pull in some of that type of comedy. And then finally, Ivan Raimi, of course, Sam Raimi's one of Sam Raimi's brothers. He has credits for Darkman, Army of Darkness, Spider-Man 3, Drag Me to Hell, and of course a bunch of Ash vs. Evil Dead. So those are our acting or our writing and directing credits. And let's get into some viewership. This is actually quite interesting. So the viewership is at 452,000, which actually is the highest viewed episode thus far. Even more viewers than the pilot.
Interesting. And honestly, that is very surprising for me. I mean, it's surprising that it went from 402,000 last week's episode to an extra, 50,000 people. I would really, really like to. I don't want to delve into viewership, but I would like to know how this is calculated, because I know we talk about that every week, and it's just kind of crazy like that. It goes down a little bit, goes up. Like it went from on episode 3, we were talking about it had 383,000 viewers, and then episode 4 it went up to 448,000 viewers. I mean that's a big jump. That's almost 100,000 viewers. It's just weird to like how this kind of fluctuates like this. So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
My very limited knowledge of viewership, I do know that it's not very common for the pilot or the finale not to be the most viewed episode in a season. It's actually very uncommon for a show to have a pilot and then have a random episode like episode 7 have more viewership than the pilot had. Usually it's the pilot and the finale that have the most. Usually it's the finale that does have the most because the end of it. But it's weird. It really is weird. I mean, it's only 15,000 more viewers than it had on the pilot, but I still thought it was pretty interesting that the show is at a steady, now, it had that huge drop off in episode 2, but now it's just, growing and growing and growing, which is really, really neat.
It is really neat. And something I don't know if you noticed, JP, that I just now noticed is the directors. Like, it's like each director from the season, they've had 2 episodes in a row. Like Michael J. Bassett had episode 2 and 3. David Franzi had episode 4 and 5. And then Michael Hurst has episode 6 and 7. And then the next 2 episodes have the same director as well, which that's kind of interesting to me as well. It's almost like, that kind of franchised out directorship, I guess you would say in so many words, of a new show. It's like these newer directors or directors that, are sort of TV directors. They sign contracts and they get 2 episodes and maybe in a row, and then they have to give it to somebody else. I just now noticed that, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
I didn't notice it either, and I actually even looked for that at the beginning when I looked and saw that, but then I was like, oh, never mind, Sam Raimi only directed 1, but it really is, like, right after that, it's 2, 2, 2, 2.
It's like 2 throughout the whole season until the ending, the last.
The first and last episode
have different ones.
The format, but other than
I'm kind of surprised that the episode 10 isn't going to have Sam Raimi directing it, but who knows? I don't know. I would have thought maybe Sam Raimi would want to do, like, the pilot and the season finale or, whatever, but yeah, kind of crazy.
It is. So that is viewership. Now, if you want to, we can go ahead and get into the episode, Fire in the Hole.
We will go ahead and jump into the episode. It picks up, like we say every week, where the last episode left off. It looks like, Ash and Pablo and Kelly are on their way to meet up with Lem, or go to his militia group. As we found out in previous episodes, Lem is a friend of Ash's, who has basically a military outpost, or like a militia outpost with, this militia has a ton of weapons. So Ash finds out about this. He wants to go there to possibly use some of these weapons. So they're on their way to Lem's place, or his outpost. They do not know at this point that Lem, as we saw in the last episode, that he was basically taken over by the evil, or we haven't really noticed yet or seen it yet, but we saw in the last episode the evil kind of, came up to him, and then it kind of, episode
stalking
ended.
Him down.
Yeah. So, Ash and Kelly and Pablo are walking walking down this road. They start stumbling toward the militia area, and they notice that there's a bunch of people laying on the ground disemboweled.
Yeah, so that was your first, like, real gore shot of the episode. Just guts and intestines everywhere. And Pablo's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that was very Tom Savini-ish too, of like the gore. Like the one person that was disemboweled on the left, the one guy that wasn't alive still, reminded me of Captain whatever his name was, I can't remember his Captain Rhodes from Day of the Dead. When he was getting disemboweled and eaten by the zombies at the end of the movie, it reminded me just of the same thing. It's just the really good gore aspect to this episode, to be honest with you. But the one guy that was right next to the guy that was pretty much disemboweled, he was still alive, saying, they're coming for us, and kind of like speaking kind of crazy. And the militia runs up right before the credits open and shoot him in the head. And Pablo and all of them are like, whoa. And then the credits roll, obviously the opening, the intro.
Which is always very cartoony.
Yeah, it is very cartoony. It kind of reminds me of Scooby-Doo or something.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I think that's it's a comedy more than a horror, and I think that's what they're kind of portraying even with the intro, like kind of cartoony or something. Well, then it kind of opens up. You actually get to meet your first kind of, I guess, quote unquote special guest. Do you know what his name is, JP, the guy from Deathgasm?
Yeah, his name is Milo Cawthorn, and he actually has done a few things. An indie film that I was super impressed with early in the year. I gave it, I believe, a high 8 out of 10. Moods from the 22 Shots was also very high on it. Is called Blood Punch, and he was actually in that, and he does a great job in that. So now 3 times this year, this guy has shown up on my radar. So that usually indicates that I will see more from him, and I will pay attention to this actor. And seriously, if I just see that he's in something, I will buy it based on that going forward, just because I sort of like the guy. So he was in now Blood Punch. He was in Deathgasm as Brody, a very significant main character, and now he's like a little side character, special guest starring type role in Fire in the Hole episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah, and I will agree with you on that. I think he's a really good actor. I like Deathgasm was my favorite horror movie of this year. It was I thought it was amazing personally. I thought it was awesome. It's a very good movie, and I just like him as an actor. I think that he's a good actor, and he like portrays these kind of comedic / horror roles very well with his like kind of like quirkiness. I think it's really he's just really good in these kind of roles. But
he's the lead in Blood Punch as well, so definitely check that out, dude. It's definitely worth it. I think it's one of the best indies of the year in terms of just like complete.
I'm gonna have to pick that one up as well. I've been wanting to watch that, so I'll have to pick that up for sure. But yeah, it kind of opens up. We're meeting this militia team at this point. The militia team's kind of in front of Ash, in front of Kelly and Pablo. They're like, "Who the fuck are you?" They blow this guy's head off that's laying on the ground. They seem very paranoid about everything that's going on. The guy from Deathgasm, the guy, his real name's Milo or Milo.
Yeah, in this episode, his name's Delmont.
Yeah. He's not the main character he's not the main militia person. There's an older guy that's the main militia guy. He's the one kind of calling the shots for these people. So they bring Ash, Kelly, and Pablo into like their camp.
Forget about Amanda, bro. Been ignoring Amanda the whole episode.
Amanda was there. Yeah, Amanda's been there with him, but she hasn't really said much at all. I keep forgetting she is with them at this point. So, yeah, Amanda the cop at this point is with all of them, kind of in their group at this point. Yeah. She hasn't really said much in this episode, but they kind of bring them all into the militia area. It's kind of like this closed-off cabin, and kind of looks like a closed-off cabin. And they're talking about, how Ash is telling about how he knows Lem, how they need to give their weapons back to them. And, the main militia guy's like, Lem is one of them, basically saying he's got the evil, or he's possessed basically, and they don't know what the evil is. This militia group has no idea what this evil is. They won't listen to Ash about it. They just think that the government is putting something.
Yeah, your boy Delmont actually found Amanda's character to be familiar. He's like, "Who are you? Like, I haven't met you before." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're a fucking cop." And then they're like, "Oh, so you guys fucking." Capture Lem and you do your experiments on him, and now you want to see how it's turned out.
Yep. Yeah, and they pretty much just don't believe anything to do with, Ash's kind of explanation for things, because Ash is trying to explain it, but, these are kind of rednecky, I guess, militia, they want to be militia kind of people, and they're just not believing anything they have to say. They think it's bullshit. They just think it's all government-based, a conspiracy. until one of the militia guys goes toward the door because the door gets kicked open, and they kind of look around and like, what the fuck? They hear Lem crawling on the roof and stuff, but they kind of look around, and the guy goes up to the door. He's like, oh, there's nobody there. And then Lem grabs the guy and starts pretty much just eating the guy. Like, he takes the guy and he goes down to the cellar with them and closes the door, and they're kind of running after him, trying to get a hold of him. So at this point in time, Ash and Amanda try to get away. When this happens, they try to kind of get out of there so nothing happens to them, and they end up getting handcuffed together by the militia and thrown down in the cellar where Lem went with the guy from the militia. All the while, Pablo and Kelly are just kind of off, like trying to hide, try to get away from all these people, these crazy people, and kind of the situation that's going on. So yeah, currently at this point in the episode, it's about halfway mark. You got Pablo and Kelly, they're together. They're in the woods kind of hiding from the militia because the militia's looking for them. You got Ash and Amanda handcuffed together down in this like cellar, kind of like a basement, with the Lem character who's now possessed by evil, down there with them. So, this militia group isn't really turning out to be the nicest group of folks. So they're kind of douchebags in a way. And Amanda kind of starts to talk to Ash about Ruby and how she's taught her a lot, and she's been kind of an inspiration to her, and she's learned a lot about who Ruby is. You kind of learn a little bit more about Ruby. I mean, we kind of already know who she is at this point, but you learn a little bit more about Ruby at this point. As she's kind of talking about Ruby, they're both being hunted by Lem, and Lem actually tries to set them on fire with some kerosene. So Lem is basically trying to kill Ash, just like all the Deadites do. They try to kill Ash. They don't like his character because they're scared of him. They're kind of intimidated by him. So he's trying to kind of hunt down Ash, kill him. While this is all going on down in this basement, Pablo and Kelly are running from the militia, trying to get away from them. And then it cuts to a scene with Ruby, which is the only scene you really see with her in the episode. She ends up getting her car back, and she notices that Ash's hand is gone. So she just kind of rides off. I guess she's going to find out what happened to the hand or what happened to, what's going on with them. And as this is going on, the evil, basically, comes out of the woods. There's an evil guy. There's like the guy that's a Deadite, basically, that was in the militia. He's possessed by evil. You see, the militia gets a hold of Kelly and Pablo finally. They had this plan hatched where they were going to, try to get a gun and try to take over the militia. And they ended up getting caught, handcuffed to one of the militia's trucks, and one of the militia guys turns into the evil and actually tries to kill two of the militia guys and tries to kill Kelly and Pablo. Ends up killing both the militia members, which one of them being the guy that played in Deathgasm. And these were two really awesome death scenes. Like, the one guy from Deathgasm, he actually takes him and like just bashes his head into the back of this truck, like this tailgate. And the other guy, I want to say that he like just snaps his neck or like he squeezes his neck or something off. It was really, really good, cool gore scene, cool death scenes. There's actually there's a high body count in this episode and just a lot of really good gore scenes. So the Deadite that came out of the woods is trying to kill Kelly. Pablo gets in the truck and backs it up into a tree. Backs the Deadite up into a tree. And it was a really cool scene where he was like it seemed like he was going probably like 60 or 70 miles an hour, backs up into a tree, and this Deadite just kind of gets squashed. And then they kind of try to hatch a plan where Pablo's going to put on the mask of, that has the militia mask, and they're going to try to sneak over and take over the rest of the militia, kind of pretend like they're in the militia, kind of like disguise themselves. And they do that, and end up basically holding hostage the rest of the militia. There's like probably 4 or 5 guys left. They end up handcuffing them to a fence, and taking all of their weapons. And this is pretty much the end of the episode here. There's a scene where Ash and Amanda end up killing Lem. They're fighting Lem off. They kill him. They kind of stab him in the head. And you see the first scene of Ash and Amanda about to kiss. They're actually, there's like some kind of romance.
I called that love interest, by the way.
I thought about it. I didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't call it. Shut up.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about it. I didn't know if for sure it would happen, but I thought it would. I mean, they're about to kiss, and of course Pablo walks in and ruins that. And then it shows them all, looking at all the weapons. They have rocket launchers. They have, machine guns, all kinds of just weapons and stuff. And they're kind of messing around with them. And all these, militia guys are basically handcuffed to this fence and they can't get away. At this point in the episode, there is a scene where a Deadite comes out and they kill the Deadite, and they leave the militia tied up. They start talking about going back to the cabin from the original movie. Mm-hmm. And Ash actually, they're talking about going and they're all excited to go. And they all start walking, and Amanda, Pablo, and Kelly start walking, and they turn around and Ash is gone. So if you guys remember, Ash didn't want any of them to go to the cabin because he was scared that it would put them in danger. So you kind of see this moment where Ash is, he's kind of honestly being a good friend by not wanting them involved with going to that cabin.
Yeah, I believe he says something along the lines of like, anybody who goes to that cabin with me dies.
Yeah, pretty much anybody that's going to go there dies. And, you don't see Ash walking toward the cabin, but you do see his hand, the one that, Ruby had, start kind of walking itself toward the cabin.
Yeah.
And you know that Ash isn't with, the rest of the team now, so he's probably headed there as well.
We did see that Ruby is back.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Ruby got her car back, is what I was saying earlier. And
there was the dagger. She had the dagger in the compartment, which is kind of a important moment. I always find it. I guess we're kind of wrapped up on this episode, right? In terms,
that's
of
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Pretty much know at this point at the end of the episode, Ash is on his way to the cabin. Kelly, Pablo, and Amanda don't know where he is. They're kind of just like confused, and you know that Ruby's headed toward either the one group or Ash, one of the two. So,
yeah. So one of the things that I do have always an issue with is I keep forgetting about those tiny scenes where where it's like shows Ruby or something. Like they're so forgettable because they're just like, they're just shoved in there just to, let you know. But it happens so fast and these episodes are so short that they're easily forgettable. Do you feel that way too?
You talking about the episodes? You said the episodes being too short that they're just kind of forgettable.
With Ruby's scenes.
Oh yeah, well I think that's going to change in the second season. I have a feeling that something's going to happen. Like I think they're just kind of like hinting at her character this season, and yeah, that's why I was saying earlier in previous episodes we've done is like you had to correct me on a couple of things about her scenes because I was like, oh, I forgot that she was on the episode for 2 seconds, with her little brief, and like she's not even having any lines in the episode, so it's like. It's kind of like a quick, scene. I just have a feeling she's going to be a really big part of the second season, more than likely, whenever she does meet up with Ash and all them. So
it actually could. I think that it might happen this season, to be honest. I honestly don't find her that strong of a character, like that strong of a villain. So some serious shit must happen to her, needs to happen to her for me to really respect her as an antagonist.
I have a feeling she might not be a villain. I have a feeling, I know she obviously is, we consider her a villain at this point, but maybe she, like Amanda, may change her outlook on things once she meets up with Ash. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. But there was a few funny moments in this one, such as, Kelly wants to, she's just like, they're going there to get weapons. She's like, I think I need a flamethrower. I think the flamethrower would suit me. After all I've been through, I need a flamethrower. And later, Pablo is like fascinated by the fact that she knew instantly what type of weapon she wanted, and he's like, I don't know, what kind of weapon fits me? Like an axe? Am I a crossbow guy? And it leads to some funny moments because, once again, he's just awkward and really doesn't know his place.
I thought it was funny what Kelly said when she was before all this shit happened with the militia, when she was like sitting down and she was like, I'm not scared of Lim, and then she stands up and she's like vulgar as hell. She's like, come out here, you cocksucker motherfucker, or something like that. I was like, God, this chick is like,
I love her.
Like, give a damn, man.
Yeah. So also, we see Pablo like totally go apeshit on a bloody head.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I meant to say, I was going to say, I forgot about that. He just like went crazy on like this, like basically this head, this dead, obviously a dead person, and it was
there was some good blood there too. Like
there was a lot of good gore, and that was my favorite part of this episode. Is like I think this episode had more gore in it than previous episodes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it definitely. This one feels also like sort of sandwiched in with the last one, which makes sense since it was directed by the same person. It was sort of, a lot of action scenes, not a lot of plot, but just, a nice break from what we have been seeing, and it's just more, just fast paced.
Yeah, it was very straight to the point. There wasn't really much holds barred in this episode. It pretty much was very quick. Things happen at a very fast pace. I think a lot of it has to do with like the timing they have for each episode and things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it was a pretty decent episode, I thought.
You want to get into tears?
Yeah, we can go get into tiers. I mean, I would probably give this. I've been giving most of these mid tiers. I would give this a mid tier episode, but I will say this: it's on the border of a high tier for me, just because of I like the guy that was in Deathgasm. He was in this, and I liked a lot of the gore scenes, especially the scene with Pablo backing up into that tree. I thought it was really awesome. So I'm going to go with the mid tier just because there wasn't really much plot development in it. At all. I don't think there was zero. I think there was honestly zero plot development in this episode. Like this
really,
episode was literally.
Well, we seen Amanda come back, so that was like move forward the plot a little bit.
Yeah, but I think the only thing that really plot wise that kind of was cool was you see this kind of love romance almost kind of start with Ash and Amanda, which I think that's going to bloom a little bit, but we'll see. But yeah, I'd say mid tier on this.
Yeah, I'm right with you, man. I think mid-tier, too. I think last episode I was close to giving it a high tier, or I did. I can't really remember. I think I was close. I gave it a mid-tier. I'm a little less... I like the last episode a little bit more than this one, but it's around the same. It's like the same type of episode. So, yeah, that's my rating. I give it a mid-tier. I'm excited to see where the show goes in the final, 3 episodes we have? 3 more? So, yeah, I'm really excited to see these next 3, because if any, I'm feeling that they're going to end with a bang. At the time we're recording this, the final episode will be airing in just like 5 days from now. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm interested as well. I think hopefully the season finale is going to be a pretty like a bang. I've got high hopes for this show, to be honest with you, because I've heard a lot of people. I was actually on. I was on the Ash vs. Evil Dead Facebook page about, I was reading some comments below some, some previews.
Did you post our podcast there?
That is a good idea. I should post that up there. I was on there. I was reading some comments, and some people were like, "I hated the movies, but I love the show," and then vice versa. I hated I hate the show, but I love the movies. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of if the dynamic comes back in the season finale. So I guess we'll see. So.
All right,
cool stuff.
So that is going to wrap it up for Ash vs. Evil Dead, episode number 7, Fire in the Hole. So we'll see you guys again next time with another episode, which will be episode 8, Ashes to Ashes. And for me, I'm JP, Double Shot J on YouTube. That is Kyle, Horrorfile on YouTube. We will see you guys next time for another review.